5 years ago, and it sounded silly then. It sounds even sillier now. And that's the one thing that I wish someone would get in his ear. Look, we can hold Bellator to a different standard as far as their cards are concerned. They haven't been around as long. They don't have the talent pool, the roster. I mean, they're working with a 5-6 year period, and the UFC has been around for 24 years almost. We can hold. I'm okay with that. I don't think we can hold them to a different standard when it comes to drug testing. It's all the same in my opinion, especially with some of the things that have happened in the past. So and the kinds of fighters that they've signed. They need to be held to a higher standard. They need to be held to the same standard as the UFC. If they want to go hire a third party to drug test, like the UFC has done, and is going to pay them, put them on the payroll, I'd rather that than saying, oh, the commission is going to regulate us. It doesn't fly. It doesn't fly when you're in Italy this weekend, or Budapest, or Northern Ireland, or England, or you know what I mean? It just doesn't fly anymore. So I feel like he needs to catch up with the times in that regard. That's the one thing that I'll say about them. How was WrestleMania, by the way?
Long.
That's it? That's your takeaway?
To be honest, that's the only takeaway you can kind of have. Like, whether you enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it, I think the story of the evening was
it was just long.
You thought it was over, and then there were 3 hours more. Like, it was very long.
Huh.
Not that it wasn't enjoyable, but at a certain point you hit a wall. Like, I thought UFC events were long. This felt like an eternity.
What was the best match? The best moment? Was it the Hardy Boys coming back? I saw that. People were very excited about that.
Bill Goldberg was awesome. I love Goldberg because of...
but he lost.
Yeah, but for a guy his age to look like that and do what he did, shout out to that guy. JR getting some shine.
Oh, yeah.
That was super cool. He got to call a match.
Wow. Is he back full time?
No, I think it was just a one-off. They had, Jerry the King also calling a match, and they had him call a match. The matches themselves, John Cena got married.
Yeah, that is weird.
Or engaged,
I just can't get into it. I want to get into it. I want to be a part of the conversation. I'm not trying to be some kind of hipster here, but it's just too predictable.
My favorite because
because he was on that show.
Yep.
It's just too predictable. I feel like MMA gives me the same satisfaction. Mano y mano storylines. I want to see who the better man is, but it's unpredictable. I don't know what's happening this weekend between DC and Rumble. I don't know what's happening between Weidman and Mousasi.
I don't think wrestling's always predictable, but sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get our guest.
Yes.
I have bad news and good news.
Okay.
Bad news.
Yes.
Apparently it takes 2 days to register to our website to be able to comment.
Oh, no.
This is some kind of vetting process.
Okay.
Good news. We already have some people who nailed it on the first go round, like within minutes of us answering it.
I see one person, there's Marky McFly.
There's quite a few on our
all right.
On our page.
So much for that.
And
our own Esther Lynn is telling me that JR signed a 2-year deal.
Oh, there you go.
How about that? Breaking news.
I love that.
So wait, is it done? Are we shutting it down?
I mean, we already have a bunch of winners.
Was this an easy question?
I guess you could probably use the internet to figure this out in a few seconds. So,
okay. All right.
Anyway, we'll talk about later who the winner is.
How about this hot take as you go get Angela Lee from Campbell McLaren, one of the founders of the UFC and now heading up Combate America, saying Bellator might be able to replicate the 1927 Yankees because many of their many of their big names were born around then. How about that? I mean, I get the zing. I get what he's trying to say, but I think that anyone involved in MMA these days, and I know that there's competition, how can you not be, I was talking about this on the beat, how could you not be happy that there is more competition? I think anyone in the UFC who's being honest would tell you that this is good for the sport. It's certainly good for the fighters, and I get it. Someone was saying to me like, oh, why do you care if the fighters have more options? I want to see all the fighters fight in the same organization. I want to see the best fights, and I get that. But you're being a bit of a selfish fan if you're saying that. And then he said to me, well, no one cares how much you make. Why should you care how much they make? They go into a cage. They punch themselves in the face for my enjoyment. I care how much they make. When they're 35 and have nothing else to fall back on, that bums me out. I could be an MMA journalist until I'm 70 if I want. No one's going to kick me out and say I have no use for you unless I just absolutely start sucking when, at that point it becomes very, justifiable to let me go. But in MMA, there is a shelf life. So I want to see these guys and women get as much money as possible in this short amount of time. And so I want there to be more competition. I want there to be more options out there, like Combate, like One, UFC, Bellator, World Series of Fighting, the more the merrier. That's healthier for the business. That's healthier for the fighters. And so I understand if you want to see the best fight the best consistently under one umbrella, it's better, it's easier. It's easier to cover one organization. Ultimately, it's better for the growth of the sport, the fighters, everyone involved, if there are more options. Then you can get your market value. And in particular, when it comes to women's MMA, because there are less organizations out there who are home to the women fighters and they don't have as much leverage as the male fighters. If you're a 135-pound UFC fighter, how many places can you go to try to get the best money possible? Invicta's not competing with the UFC. There aren't that many options out there. Bellator doesn't have a bantamweight division, so I want there to be more places for the fighters to go. One is doing a great job, and in particular with their women's division, and in particular with Angela Lee. She is, in my opinion, their biggest star right now. They've done a fantastic job of building her up, especially in their Asian market, their home base. And I've been wanting to get her on the program for quite some time, and I'm very happy that she is joining us right now via the magic of Skype.